AquarianRadio.com.
Aloha, this is Enki. You know me as Aquarius, and this is our age, the Sata Yuga. Time to celebrate with us. We have programs on all chakra tantra, love styles and relationship choices, counseling strategies and techniques that you can use at home. We have extraterrestrial radio where we deal with alienology, paranormal people, and we have an experiencers network. We have a section called Ancient Aliens, and the programs therein are Enki Speaks, Nimma, the Mother of Humanity, has her program, and we revise ancient anthropology. And most important of all, we have peace paradigms, because this is the age of peace, harmony and understanding, sympathy and love abound. No more falsehoods or derisions, mystic crystal dreams and visions.
This is Enki.
It is I who 300,000 years ago created your race, and 200,000 years ago, it was a lot of fun, made it even better with some of the pretty girls. And it is I who saved you from the flood, and it is I and my beloved Nimma and my son Ningashiga Thoth who are here to help you overcome my runaway son Marduk or Allah, my brother Enlil or Yahweh, and free yourself from all the supposed gods and recognize your own great potential. You have much to teach us, and we, Anunnaki, those of us from Nibiru, welcome full partnership.
And here are your hosts, Janet and Dr. Sasha Lesson.
Aloha and welcome to Aquarian Radio. This episode today, the show today is Enki Speaks, which is one of the segments of Ancient Aliens, brought to you by Aquarian Radio. Today's episode is episode 5, Enki's son Adapa. Our website for Enki Speaks is enkispeaks.com. Today is January 4th, 2013. Welcome everybody to our show. I'm your host, Janet Lesson, and my co-host is my beloved, wonderful husband, Dr. Sasha Lesson. And he's going to tell you a little bit more about today's show.
Aloha. First, I'd like to just correct or complete what the intro cut me off, where I was saying, the age of Aquarius from Harriet, where they say mystic crystal revelations. And the last line is, and the mind's true liberation. And I really wanted to say that that is the part of the poem from Hare that I really want you to know, that this work, looking at the Anunnaki, the false gods, the big guys from Nibiru who came and set things up here, is when we no longer worship them and just realize they're big, greedy, warring, homicidal guys, and some nice ones too, but they're as diverse as we are, then we do have the mind's true liberation, free to be who we are and not to follow their precepts of greed and competition.
Well, we break the God spell, and we're going to talk more about the God spell and how it came into place in the first place and the purpose behind the God spell, which was put in place by the gods, and who the gods were, and they were the Anunnaki, and which were the good Anunnaki and the bad Anunnaki, but that's too black and white.
They were complex.
Yeah, they're complex
human beings,
just like human beings, and so the god Enki is the one that loved humanity, but sometimes he got a bad rep by his brother Enlil. Yahweh, who tried to reverse the roles, and Yahweh was saying, I'm the good one, and I think they loved humanity in their own way.
Yeah, and Enki's son did the same thing, same things. I'm the only one, everyone else is beneath me.
And then they took their people, and they They created war and had them pitted against each other, and it became the old endless game of my God's better than your God. And we're still playing it to today.
Would you kill for Jesus?
Would you kill for Allah? Would you kill for Yahweh? Would you kill for Ra? Ra, kill, 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 kill. Anyway, go ahead, Sasha,
So I'd
Dr.
like,
Leslie,
yeah.
tell me about today's episode.
So we've been going through the lost book of Enki, which was translated and put together by Zechariah Sitchin, but it's based so tightly on information that he brought forth from translations from the firing of some cuneiform tablets in the library of Ashurbanipal way back when. And so it's very, very close. And so as Janet and I, we have some exposition where we tell you what's happening, and then tablet by tablet, we read directly from the lost book of Enki. And what's happening to me, because I've gone over this material, I started this book, maybe 12 years ago, I start to understand it more and more and more deeply, and things I just skipped over as being inconsequential. Now, with the kind of greater knowledge that we have, the stuff that Michael Tellinger and Michael Cremo have brought us, we can really put this together in a way that's never before. So as Janet and I read to you, we're discovering things too. Has that been your experience too, Janet?
Of course, every day's a learning experience, and so this is a huge learning curve. What happened? What's the true history of humanity, and is there ever going to be the truth? And it's all kind of subjective through the eyes of the person perceiving it. So, what kind of reality, what kind of truth can we find in the midst of all this that'll work best for the totality of humanity? That's for me the important thing. I came from a very religious, Christian religious background, and everybody would argue about the little details of the Bible, and who had the right way and the right path and the right religion, and so that is part of the Godspell.
Yeah, we'll see that the Bible is based on this story, and that the scholars who wrote up the Old Testament while they were in Babylon in exile from Jerusalem were dealing with the story that we're now going through in the lost book of Enki, and they were trying to make it all fit within the purview of a single great God, Yahweh, who was just one of these guys. He was the commander of the gold mining expedition to Earth, and make that sort of the national God of the area of Canaan that they controlled.
Right, and then the gods would change over time based on the ages of the zodiac, the span of time, space, constellations, and so it's very complex. But let's today's episode?
Let's go to today's episode.
Yeah,
just to bring you the sequence, just so that you get that, and you can always go back and check the prior episodes to just click through on this site, but. The
EnkiSpeaks.com.
Thank you, honey. Yes. So the Nibiruns came here 450 to 400,000 years ago to gold mine, to get gold to ship back to their planet. And the commander of the transshipment base on Mars was a guy named Marduk, who at one point had been the pretender to the throne of Nibiru. But now here he was with his dad, the scientist Enki, on Earth. And when Mars base got ruined because Nibiru came through, or its Lagrange points came through, but in any case, the base got ruined. Marduk was out of a job, and we saw last time that was all about how Enki, the father, the great scientist, divided up the heavens into celestial time, so that there was 12 equal parts. And he said, when Earth gets underneath the constellation of the Ram, and the Ram is on the horizon there, and it's going to be your turn to rule. Looks like you don't get to be king of Nibiru, but at least you'll rule on Earth. And he promised that to Marduk. So that was what happened last time. That was, and we finished the 7th tablet. Now, In the south of Africa, from Mozambique to Botswana, Zimbabwe, and beyond, were the descendants of Adamu. Now, Adamu was the male in the breeding pair of Tiamat and Adama that Enki had fomented a mutiny by the Nibiruans that were working in the mines, and he used that as an excuse to create this slave race. And the mating pair that he and his son Ningishita and his partner Nimma had created was Adamu, and Tiamat bred hundreds of thousands, and there's descendants, made more descendants, and so forth. So
Adamu and Tiamat were basically Adam and Eve, correct?
That's right. That was Adam and Eve, but that was just the first translation. And these people really, really worked the whole south of Africa. It was amazing. If you ever look at the work that Michael Tellinger did, you can actually see where these workings were. And they had
city.
They had it. It's what Michael says is a quote: "The extended ancient settlement area covers an area much larger than modern Johannesburg, more than 500,000 square kilometers. The Nibiruans and their Adamite slaves, that is the descendants of Adam and Tiamat, built circles of stone. They lined these circles of stone with a never-ending web over 500 kilometers of roads and connecting channels that were lined on both sides with, again, over 500 million large, iron-rich, magnetically charged stones. And these stones climb hills that are way too steep for animals. So what Enki and these slaves, servants, whatever you want to call them, did is they made this whole way of generating electricity using the kind of principles that Tesla later reintroduced to us. So they had this going. The Nibiruans and their hybrid laborers in South Africa sent this capacitated energy generated by sound along the connecting lanes. They moved the goods with water and, this is a quote, a levitation device that tapped into the magnetic content of the stones in the same way that modern trains float above their electromagnetic tracks. And so this helps them lift things. And we know what they were. What was it, honey?
Oh, I just wanted to interject when we're getting the size of this city. Johannesburg has 3.8 million people, so that was based on a couple years ago, so it's probably more, right? So this is a huge city.
Oh, it's absolutely huge. When you see it from a satellite picture, it blows your mind. The crew down there used a floating substance. It was monoatomic gold, the white powder of it, the same stuff that they were using to ship back to Nibiru for their atmosphere. The roads connected the pits that they had there where they leached the gold. There was houses, there was terraces, there were workstations, there were ceremonial centers. 3 of South African cities that contained over 11,000 million circular stone ruins covered 10,000 kilometers. This is all stuff from Michael Tellinger, but 70,000 years ago, something really heavy happened. Disaster in the form of poisonous gas and dust swept over the ancient African gold mining complex. The survivors fled Africa, and these refugees were the early Bantu, and they were named after Antu, which is King Anu's wife. The early Bantu fled from Africa, got it, the ones that survived this poisonous volcano, and they made it to India. And this was the Lake Toba explosion on Sumatra. The prevailing winds from the supervolcano carried most of the dust and poisonous gases westwards toward eastern and southern Africa, and it caused a mini ice age. And the areas most affected were South Africa,